Few people in the crowd knew who Roland Abante was, where he was from, or how long he had been waiting for this moment. He was a fisherman from the Philippines. He was wearing a simple shirt and had been through a lot in his life. Things changed when the crowd heard his voice, though. But what most people didn't see was the very hard path that he had taken to get to that point and the problems that he continued to face after he left the show. However, Roland may be stuck in the harsh and dark truth of being famous around the world. Where is Roland Abante now? That's the question. How has he been doing since he left America's Got Talent? When you learn what he's been through, you'll be shocked. The fisherman who became famous through his singing. Before America's Got Talent made everyone fall in love with Roland Abante, he was just known as Bono in his home country of Papua New Guinea. Most of the people there knew him as the fisherman who sang his heart out at night and drove a cab during the day. Many people who had heard him sing could tell that he was hiding something very interesting. Roland's story starts a long way from the big lights and the world stage he would finally play on. He didn't have it easy when he was born, and he grew up in a place where surviving was more important than dreams. Roland learned how to stay alive when he was young. Cebu is a city on the coast, and life wasn't easy there. Like him, many people had to grow up quickly. People didn't expect to be comfortable or get an education. The water was both a source of food and a daily danger. It turned into a way of life for Roland. Roland's days started before dawn because he was a fisherman. He would take a small boat out to sea and cast his nets, trying to catch something. Sometimes he would be gone for hours. The work was very hard on the body. No breaks or safety nets, just hard work, and it was always unclear whether the day's work would be enough to feed the family. The sea wasn't always nice, and some days he came home without anything, but even during the worst times stayed strong and steady. Roland's life had another side that kept him going when everything else felt heavy. Roland liked music a lot. He used to sing along with the radio when he was a kid, imitating well-known Filipino singers such as April Boy Regino and Ariel Rivera. Even though he didn't have any formal training and couldn't afford music classes, he made up for it with his passion. His voice was his friend, a support, and a way for him to let go. Karaoke places were his way to get away. Karaoke is more than just fun in the Philippines. It's a part of our culture. People from the neighborhood cheer each other on, families get together, and friends compete there. Roland had a lot of fun with it. It was a stage and a way for him to talk. A singing bar was where he would go after a long, hard day, and that's where he changed in front of small, often noisy groups. Even people he didn't know would stop and listen when he sang because his voice would get so emotional. But it wasn't just singing for fun. Roland started to compete in amateur events, first in his own barangay and then in bigger events in towns close. He entered Tawagan Tanghalan, which is one of the most watched singing competitions in the Philippines and is shown on its showtime at noon. It wasn't just about winning on that stage, it was also about being accepted. It was a chance for someone like Roland to be taken seriously, even though he didn't have any money, contacts or formal training. He was on that show. Many people liked his shows, but his path wasn't easy. There was a lot of competition. His odds were always against him because he didn't look like a pop star and didn't fit the typical pop star profile. What he had was pure skill. He slowly built a small group of people who saw his gift and natural ability for what it was. Roland's first big break didn't come from a scout or a network. It came from something much less fancy. You see, Roland started making videos in which he sang his heart out. These videos quickly went viral on Filipino social media sites and even went further. People from all over the world were amazed, and not just by how well he sang, but by how deeply he felt every word he sang. Soon, people outside of his small town knew who he was, and it wasn't long before he chose to aim for even greater things. When Roland decided to try out for America's Got Talent, his life changed in a big way. That being said, this wasn't just any game. You could sing on one of the most watched talent shows in the world. It was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. However, there was some stress. Putting himself forward was one thing. It was another thing to represent his country. Not only did he carry his own dreams, but also the hopes of a whole country of working-class thinkers. People who had been told to stay in their lane, work hard, and not expect much had been told the same thing. Roland's rise to fame around the world would start with this choice. What he did would make the whole room quiet. Wow, those judges, and make social media go crazy. But it wasn't just a song that went wrong on that stage. It was about Roland's lifelong fight finally being heard. The moment on America's Got Talent that shocked viewers. Roland didn't have an easy time getting to the America's Got Talent stage. Visas had to be set up, there were trips to plan, and for someone who had barely been outside of his area, going to the US was a huge step. He did it, though. Roland left Cebu and went to a new world that seemed a million miles away. But every time he sang, it took him back home. There's something strong about a man who has been through a lot standing tall in front of people from all over the world. This is why, when Roland finally came on stage, the crowd and judges didn't know what to expect, to put it simply. He told them his name was, and that he was a fisherman from Cebu, Philippines, and that his dream was to sing for everyone. He had tears in his eyes when asked why he wanted to be on the 18th season of America's Got Talent. "This is my big dream to be here," he said. Those words changed the mood in the room right away. Both the judges' eyes and the crowd's silence showed that they were interested. Everything changed when he finally sang. Roland picked When a Man Loves a Woman is a classic soul song from 1966 that was first sung by Percy Sledge. There's a lot of feeling in this song, and the range is very demanding. It's not easy to sing. But as Roland played the first few notes, the room seemed to stop moving. Not only was his speech strong, it was also full of feeling. Every word felt like it was written by him. Every note had weight, and his voice had that rare haunting quality that made people stop and listen. The worried fisherman from Cebu turned into a powerful voice in a matter of seconds. The camera moved around the crowd. Some were moving around. Some people looked shocked, and some were even crying. People in the room gasped when Roland hit the high notes. It was clear that the judges were moved. Simon Cowell, who is known for being hard to please, watched with a more thoughtful face. Heidi Klum looked mesmerized, and Sofia Vergara smiled like she couldn't believe it. The whole audience was on their feet by the time Roland played the last note, bursting into cheers. Ahil. He was praised by Simon Cowell, who said, "That was a great audition, really great." Judge Sofia Vergara may have said the most moving thing when she said, "I think you'll have to stop fishing. It was important for you to be here. What they said it all." Roland was meant to do more, and America's Got Talent was the right chance for him to show the world what he could do. He did a great job capturing everything that people love about the show. Roland wasn't good at singing. He hadn't had years of voice lessons or performed on big stages before. His raw ability, on the other hand, was enough to make friends with people all over the world. Soon after the show aired, videos of his performance spread like wildfire. There was a lot of praise on social media. Many fans wrote nice things about Roland in the comments, calling him one of the best singers on America's Got Talent that season. Filipino groups all over the world came together to support him and were happy to tell their stories, and happy that one of their own finally got the credit he earned. Roland made it through the early rounds of the game and into the semi-finals, thanks to the support wave. He was on track to make it all the way to the finals and maybe even win the whole show, which many people thought was fate. His story, voice, and humility made him stand out, and people really connected with them. In fact, Judge Heidi Klum told him after one of his performances on the show that his voice had a lot of grit and texture. She then said, "To be honest, it was beautiful, one of my favorites of the night. I would also press another golden button right now if it would get you to the final." Then the moment no one saw coming happened. Roland once again gave a soulful show in the semi-finals. It was strong technically and from an emotional point of view. He gave everything he had while he was on stage, as if he knew how much was at stake. Roland's name was not called when the findings were shown, though. He had been thrown out. The crowd was shocked to the core. People who saw it online voiced shock, anger, and sadness. A lot of people thought Roland should have made it through because he was so much better than some of the other contestants. Fans on social media sites were confused about how they could let him go. Not everyone agreed on whether he had one of the best sounds this season or not. Some even said he was robbed. Some of the show's critics and fan pages didn't agree with the outcome. It was thought that the lack of flashy production or visual stage features might have worked against him. Others thought that the fact that he was quiet and humble in a show full of emotional acts might have made him less appealing to some types of audiences. But almost everyone thought that Roland Abante's elimination was very unfair. But what made his elimination the most controversial was when some fans said that America's Got Talent was secretly biased against Roland Abante because of his country. They didn't get how someone with such amazing singing skills and so much support from the people could not make it to the finals. Some of these fans also started to wonder if the show was really fair to contestants from other countries. Others said Roland's removal showed an unspoken bias. Even though his performance moved the judges and the crowd, he could never win because he wasn't American. The controversy even led to bigger arguments about the show's structure, and some viewers even said that it should only be open to Americans, so that bright foreigners aren't wasted on a show that might like them, but never fully embrace them all. The non-American bands that have made it all the way to the top have been very rare lately, they said, but not everyone agreed. People who supported the show's global approach said that ability doesn't care about borders and Roland's appearance alone was a win for diversity. But there was already a lot of stress, and the idea that Roland might not have lost because of the votes, but because of something else made it harder for him to be eliminated. Even though there's no proof of bias, people were really angry. Roland's early exit wasn't just upsetting for fans who thought he would win. Many of his fans wondered if his passport was holding him back more than his performance could have. Still, Roland dealt with the news with the same class and ease he had shown from the start. He thanked everyone who helped him get this far, including the judges, and said he was proud of himself. There was no anger, just quiet strength. His friends were shocked when he quit, and the shock didn't go away quickly. A lot of people kept sharing his test clip, which helped people remember how good he was. People began to follow his story outside of the show. They were interested in what he would do next. Would he get a record deal or be asked to sing on shows around the world? But not many people know what happens to artists like Roland when the cameras stop rolling. And for Roland, the end of America's Got Talent was the start of a new task that was much more like the harsh world he had always known. Roland was left with something much harder to deal with after the lights went out and the stage was packed. He had to deal with the painful effects of having his dream cut short, the breaking truth about life after America's Got Talent. Many people who watch America's Got Talent from home see it as a dream come true, a show where regular people can show off their amazing talents and become stars. The lights, cheers, and standing ovations are all meant to make it feel like a huge step forward that will never happen again, and in some ways it really is. Roland Abante and a lot of other contestants feel the same way. The end of the show doesn't always feel like the start of something new. In fact, it can feel more like a terrible return to not knowing what will happen next. Even though Roland sang with all of his heart when he got on stage, the reaction was overwhelming. The judges praised him. The crowd was amazed, and videos of his show spread all over the internet. The internet went crazy. Behind him were fans from the Philippines and all over the world. A lot of people thought he would make it to the finals, and maybe even win. It didn't happen though. Even though he had a lot of support, a lot of noise, and undeniable ability, Roland Abante was eliminated before the finals. The fairy tale ended there and then. Roland wasn't just upset about being kicked off. It made me feel very sad. He wasn't a contestant trying to become famous on TV. There was someone who had given up everything to be on that stage. He had been all over the world, dealt with the pressure of what his fellow Filipinos thought of him, and shown his heart to millions of people. It wasn't just missing a title that made them lose. It was about how he felt like the chance he had been waiting for his whole life had come and gone. Many America's Got Talent contestants deal with the mental toll the show takes, but they don't talk about it in public very often. Real life starts when the cameras stop rolling and the attention moves on to the next act. Nothing is certain, there are no safety nets, and there are no clear ways to move forward. For every popular video and meme, people have to pay their bills, go back to work, and take care of their families. Oh, Roland's position was even more complicated because he didn't have a group of agents or pre-experts ready to help him make the most of the chance. He had a short-lived burst of fame, which could be very strong. That's when the hard truth about the entertainment business starts to come out. A lot of people think that if you get good reviews on a show like America's Got Talent, you'll be successful right away. But the show is just a starting point. It's not a promise. It makes you known, but it doesn't give you a way to get there. A lot of the time, contestants are stuck in a weird middle ground where they're famous enough to be known, but not safe enough to stop fighting. The fame goes away faster than most people think. It can make you feel even more lost if you don't have the right help in place. Roland had to deal with that strange middle ground when he went back home. He had moved people all over the world, but back in Cebu, normal life was still waiting. There was no more praise, and reservations weren't coming in like many people might have thought they would. He wasn't being chased by record companies. The only things he had were a few local events, words of support, and the quiet determination he had always had. Not that people no longer believe in him. Fans kept telling him how much they loved his Facebook page and sharing videos of his shows online. But having faith doesn't pay the bills by itself. Roland, like many other America's Got Talent contestants, had to deal with the harsh difference between feeling like a winner and having to worry about money. People have this problem more often than they think. People who have been on the show before have talked about the sadness they felt afterwards, the pressure to do well now that everyone knows your name, and the uncertainty about what to do next. Some go back to their old jobs. Others try to go on tours by themselves, but their results aren't always good. A few people are lucky enough to get a deal or a stable base, but a lot of people end up back where they started, especially those who don't have good networks or business advice. Roland, for example, has said that he is very thankful for the experience and the chance to be on a show like America's Got Talent. Never once did he think it was easy. Because for him, that stage was more than just a show. His whole life was summed up in a few short minutes. However, the confidence and safety that came with that moment went away as well. A lot of big names in showbiz have told you that you're unique, so it's not easy to go back to normal life. It's even worse when everyone in your country backs you up, but your goals stop moving in front of everyone else. To keep going, to show that it was all worth it, and to make sure that nothing was lost is a big load to carry. For many people who used to be on the show, the end of the show is the start of the real work. Getting a job from scratch, learning how to deal with sudden attention, and looking for the right chances before they disappear. This is not an easy road for someone like Roland, whose background is based on humility and hard work. What will happen next for the Cebuano fisherman, who changed the world with just his voice? What is he doing now? Roland's story is still going on, even though America's Got Talent is over. What is Roland Abante going to do next? Roland Abante didn't really take home a prize when he left the America's Got Talent stage, but he got something that a lot of artists never get. He got people all over the world to really see him. Not as an act that was made up or a viral trick, but as a real person, a man whose voice can be heard across seas and whose stories are so real they make people cry. Roland's journey doesn't end with the race. It might even be beginning its most important chapter. What's next for the Cebuano singer who used to be a fisherman? Well, Roland has made it clear that he has no plans to fade into the background after the show's intense ups and downs. He's going back to the thing he loves most with even more drive than before. That stage wasn't the end of his dream. In fact, the platform made him even more sure that his opinion matters and that people should hear his story. In the weeks after his appearance on America's Got Talent, Roland went back to singing at festivals and local events all over the Philippines. There was a community show in Cebu and a live performance streamed online. He sang with the same passion that made him famous around the world in the first place. Everyone is now aware that he is being watched. Just thinking about it makes him want to move forward with his singing career. This time, he's not beginning from scratch. Roland now has fans all over the world, including Filipinos living in and outside of the Philippines, and people from other countries who liked how real he was. He has more friends on social media now, and many of them still share videos of him performing, say nice things about them, and even ask for new songs or records. Roland knows that this kind of help is hard to find and that he needs to keep it going. He's building something that will last longer with the help of the stage he got, no matter how short it was. He is looking for more serious recording jobs. People in the Filipino music scene want to work together on an album, put out more songs, and make an album. Put out more songs and make an album. He's also made it clear that he's willing to work with producers or other people in the business who understand his idea and value his background. He's staying true to himself because that's what moved people in the first place, and that's what he plans to keep sharing. This is different from many artists who rely on stylists and managers to shape their public image. People from Roland's home country of the Philippines have shown him a lot of love through his post, America's Got Talent Life. People from all over the country took to social media to show their pride, admiration, and even sadness when he didn't make it to the finals after his audition showed. His story has a deep connection with Filipinos who work abroad, artists who are having a hard time, and regular people who saw their own dreams in him. Roland stands for the idea that everyone, no matter how humble, should be able to be heard on the world stage in a place where music is deeply rooted in the culture. That faith has turned into real support. Fans have started Facebook groups, shared cover versions of his songs, and even asked TV networks and record labels to sign him. Some people have given money or helped with events to help him continue his journey. Being backed up like this is very important to Roland. It reminds him that even though he didn't win a trophy, he got support, approval, and the knowledge that people saw him as more than just a contestant. They saw him as a symbol of strength, hope, and ability. Even with all of his fame and stress, Roland Abante has something much more important that holds him together: his family. Behind the public appearances and popular videos is a strong but quiet group of people who have been with him through every step. Roland is married to Roland Abante, a woman who has been there for him through the hardest times and enjoyed his biggest wins. Respect is at the heart of their relationship, and Roland often says that she is one of the things that keeps him strong. They have talked about how thankful they are for her kindness in interviews and on social media. This is especially true during the years when he worked long hours as a fisherman and still insisted on singing late at night. They have a kid named Greg together. Greg has always been interested in music, just like his father. Videos of the young boy singing with his dad have been made public. Fans are already thinking if the Abante family has another generation of talented people on the way. For Roland, one of the most moving parts of this trip has been seeing his son fall in love with music. It's no longer just about his dream. It's about building something important for the next generation and passing on that dream. Roland stays honest because of his family. He knows where home is, no matter how far the trip takes him. He's been able to stay true to himself through all the ups and downs because he's been emotionally, personally, and spiritually stable. The question is, what will happen to Roland Abante? It's still going on in many ways. Roland isn't giving up. That much is clear. He doesn't see America's Got Talent as the end of his life. Instead, he's using it to push himself to sing louder, reach farther, and show that real ability doesn't go away when the attention is taken away. He still says he wants to do more professional shows, put out his own music, and maybe even visit the world to meet Filipinos who have left the country. He is still very passionate about performing live, and he thinks that the emotional link he makes with an audience is still his greatest gift. As the music business changes, Roland has more ways than ever to connect directly with fans, thanks to sites like TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube that help independent acts do well. He might not have won America's Got Talent, but the road he's on now could be even better in the long run. Because Roland Abante is more than just a voice, he's a story of pride, family, heartbreak, and never giving up hope, and his story is still coming together. What do you think? Roland Abante won America's Got Talent. Did he deserve it? Leave a comment below and tell us. If you like this video, please click on the next one that comes up, give it a like and subscribe to our channel to get more.